All parties in the matter of Spurgeon versus Stephan. Step forward.
Jennifer Spurgeon is suing her son, 25-year-old Ozzie Stephan, for bail when he was arrested for writing fraudulent checks.
Miss Spurgeon, you are willing to acknowledge here in court that this is your child?
Yes, my son.
According to your complaint, he owes you for bailing him out of jail.
Yes, he does.
He says he never asked you. You bailed him out on your own. What were you in jail for, sir?
I forged some checks in '02.
For forgery?
Yes, ma'am.
And the forgery was in 2002?
Yes, ma'am.
When were you incarcerated?
New Year's Eve, '05.
Is that because that's when you were arrested or because you violated your parole or probation?
That's when I got arrested.
For the forgery in 2002?
Yes, ma'am.
It took him 3 years to figure it out?
It took them 3 years to catch me, ma'am. Because I didn't do anything else wrong.
Is that the only time you've been arrested?
No, ma'am.
Between 2002 and 2005, how many times were you arrested?
0.
Before 2002?
Couple, 2 or 3.
For what?
Me and a couple of my friends stole a racing four-wheeler. Like,
Stole a what?
a four-wheeler, a racing four-wheeler when I was 17.
How old are you now?
25.
Oh, that's a long time ago. What else?
Possession of marijuana.
When was that?
I was 19.
Anything else?
Possession again.
Don't learn your lesson.
No, ma'am.
Now, is that forgery case resolved at this point?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it resolved after a trial or a plea?
After a plea.
What did you plead guilty to and when?
I pled guilty to forgery. I'm not sure. It was like, the last case was just resolved 2 months ago.
Which last case?
Well, there was 3 counties the checks were in. It was 3 different counties.
Where'd you get the checks from?
A friend of mine.
Whose checks were they?
His checks.
You stole the checks from him or he gave them to you?
He gave them to me.
To do what with?
To get money.
What were you using the money for?
All kinds of different things.
So it took whatever county was 3 years to figure out what was going on. So you were arrested December 31st, 2005.
Yes, ma'am.
What was your bail?
In the beginning, it was $89,000.
Was your friend arrested too?
I don't have any idea.
Why was your bail so high?
Because of the amount of checks that there was.
How much?
I don't remember.
Give me a ballpark figure.
$1,500.
How long did you spend in jail?
46 days.
Was that the first time you had been incarcerated?
For 46 days, yes, ma'am.
More than a day or two?
No. It was the second time.
How long was the previous time you were incarcerated for a substantial period?
A couple days, no.
A couple of days?
Yes, ma'am.
So this was 46 days?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you like it?
No, it wasn't fun at all.
How many times did you speak to your mother? Did you call her?
Oh, yeah.
You call her every week?
Every couple days.
What'd you talk about?
Everything. How I was doing, how I was feeling. Was I learning anything? Was I going to do it again? My daughter.
You have a child?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you do for a living now, Mr. Stephan?
I run a concrete business.
A what?
Custom concrete business.
Custom concrete?
Yeah,
You work all the time?
most of the time.
You make a living?
Yes, ma'am.
You filed tax returns last year?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. How much did you earn?
I don't remember.
Ballpark.
$35,000.
Nice. And you only have one child?
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you live with?
I live with my father.
Still working the same business that you did last year when you were
No, ma'am.
making $35,000?
No, ma'am.
So you left a good business and you went into the custom concrete business?
Yes, ma'am.
So you must make more money?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Love it. Now, it's one of the things you spoke to about your mother, how unhappy you were in prison.
In jail? Yeah, of course.
Did you discuss with her bailing you out?
It came up time to time.
How did it come up?
I would ask her, she would bail me out, and she would tell me no.
And? And?
And?
But look where you are. You're here. 46 days later, you're here. So how did it come about, sir, that you got bailed out?
I finally made it to the last county that I was going to, and I made a phone call to my mom, and she had said...
You made a phone call to your mom at the last
said-
county. Shh. We do everything my way here, because it's my playpen. So you finally got to the last county where you had to show up for arraignment, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And the bail in the other counties had been sort of resolved, so you were waiting to get to the last place because they weren't letting go of you until you got to the last place, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So now you got to the last place and you called your mom and you said...
Hi, Mom, what's up?
And she said...
I mean, basically, that's what I called her and said, hey, how you doing? And she told me to call her back in an hour. She was working on something.
And that's all you said to her. Hi, Mom, what's doing?
How's it going? Yeah.
How's it going?
And she...
All right, good. Now he's at the last county. What day is it, Mrs. Spurgeon?
Around the 7th or 8th of February, '06.
And he calls you from the last county that wants him,
Yes.
right? And what does he say to you and what do you say to him?
He was pretty upset.
What did he say?
Mom, I can't take it anymore. You've got to get me out of here. I've called Grandma. Grandma can't help. She has no money. She's on disability, my father's pension. And
Is this your mother?
This is my mom. I told him that I couldn't get him out. I didn't have any kind of money. All I had was my credit cards.
And he said?
I got a friend that's a bondsman. If you'll call him, he'll cut us a deal.
He said?
Ozzy gave me the name of the bondsman to call.
And did you call?
I did call him, yes.
And did you get a deal?
$1,500 is not a deal when, you know, I didn't get to spend any of it. I had to give it away.
Is that what it cost you to get him out?
Yes, all totaling.
What's your mother's last name?
McMullen.
Would you step up, Miss McMullen? How many grandchildren do you have?
17.
Is he one that you like?
He always calls up and says, "This is your favorite grandson." That's okay.
Yeah, he's got a gift of gab. Did he call you from jail and ask you to bail him out?
Well, he said he needed help getting out, but...
Did he call you?
Yes, he did, several times.
Several times. And he said, I need help getting out?
He wanted to get out.
What did you say to him?
I can't help you. I'm on a fixed income, so I can't help you.
And what did he say to you?
I know. I guess he was fishing.
How many times did he call you? Trying to see if he could get some
3
money.
or 4 times, yeah.
Remember calling your grandmother?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ask her for money?
Oh, yeah.
Remember calling your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ask her for money?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Now we got it. Now you can be seated. Thank you very much. See, I knew you might lie about your mother, Mr. Stephan, but I knew you wouldn't lie about your grandmother. You made some payments to your mother on this bail. How many payments did you make on the bail?
I gave her a couple $100.
Just answer my question.
I gave her a couple $100.
200.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what he gave you?
He actually paid it to the bonds company.
How much does he still owe? When you paid off the entire amount?
$1,350.
Okay, so these are my questions, Mr. Stephan. When you forged those checks with your buddy and got some cash, whatever it was, $1,500, did you buy anything for your mother?
No, ma'am.
Did you buy anything for your grandmother?
No, ma'am.
Did you give your mother any money?
No, ma'am.
Did you give your grandmother any money?
No, ma'am.
Did your mother get any enjoyment whatsoever from the proceeds of your forgery?
No.
Did she know or in any way help you forge those checks?
No.
So that when you got busted for check forgery, this was owing solely to your bad behavior, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why should anybody else suffer for your bad behavior?
They shouldn't.
Great. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,350. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mellinger versus Scott. Step forward, please.
Terry Mellinger is suing her son's former friend, 20-year-old Kenny Scott, for a loan for a motel room.
Is this your son?
Yes, ma'am.
How many children do you have?
Just the one, sir. Ma'am.
Doesn't he have long pants?
He does, Your Honor, but he just flew in from Tucson where he's working out in the field and he's staying in a motel, so he has limited access to clothes other than his work clothes.
Could you bring him a pair of long
did
pants?
But I just...
I mean, he's not going to the beach.
I know, and I apologize.
Okay.
I just wasn't thinking.
Miss Mellinger, this is your complaint. Mr. Scott is a friend of your son's. Are you wearing long pants?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
According to your complaint, the two of them went off oil drilling something, got a job someplace,
Correct.
and they were rooming together. And according to you, you made a loan to Mr. Scott in the amount of $500 because he was short on cash. Stand up on your own 2 feet with your long pants, Mr. Scott. Mr. Scott says that you sent money, but you sent money at your son's request to your son. There was never an agreement by him to pay you back. That's your defense.
Yes, Your Honor.
This is your mother?
Yes, this is my mom, Charlotte.
Okay. Where did you go to work, Mr. Scott?
Well, at the time, we were stationed in Nevada, and then the following hitch, we were supposed to go down to Tucson.
And where is your home?
I live in Spokane, Washington.
How old are you?
20.
Were you paying your own way when you went to do this oil drilling?
Yes, I was.
You paid your own rent?
Not at home, no.
I'm talking about when you lived with him, when you were working. You were living together, correct, in a motel?
Correct.
Who was paying the bill?
He was.
Why?
Because I was unemployed before that, and we agreed that we would split the motel costs after I got paid, and I hadn't got paid until 2.5 weeks into the hitch.
Okay, and once you got paid, did you give him back the money?
No.
Why?
Well, because Mrs. Mellinger had came to me saying that she wired Dustin some money and that I was supposed to have been given it, so I owed her the $500, and I started to make payments And
Am I scaring you? Am I scaring you?
no,
That's too bad. I must try harder. Now, you went to live with Dustin and you had an agreement, and your agreement with Dustin was, quite reasonably, that you would go to this place where you could both work and make a good living, make some money, and that you would split the room. But you didn't have any money.
right?
So what Dustin does is he calls his mother and says, Mom, Kenny doesn't have any money. So I'm going to need some money to tide us over.
We talked about this agreement before we even left town. I said, I'm going to be broke. I'm going to not have any food. I'm going to need some help.
And
He didn't help me with food or anything. He just paid for the hotel room, gave me a place to sleep.
who paid the rest of the money? Your mother?
My mom had wired me some money for
How much
food
did your
and-
mother wire you? No, don't look at her. I'm asking you, how much did your mother wire you?
$200.
About $200. And I'm sure your mother has proof of that, right?
Yes.
Right?
I Western Union the money and tried to get the receipt from them, and we didn't have time to get that.
Baloney. How much was the motel room?
Well, the first one we stayed at was a little higher price.
How much was the hotel room?
It's about $25 a night.
And how many nights were you there?
The first one we were there maybe about 4 or 5, and then we switched over because that hotel was run down.
Stand up. No, I can't stand to look at your knees. Over here. $25 a night. What was the second room?
Second room was the same, $25 a night, 25.
And how many
26.
nights in total were you there?
The second room?
Both rooms.
Both rooms.
Dustin.
Okay. The first hotel was about 5 days, and the second hotel about 21 days in the second hotel, something like that.
So you worked a total of 26 days.
Yes.
$650 plus tax, right? So it probably comes to close to $800. Did you, in fact, give Dustin back $400?
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Why not?
Well, it was told to me that I owed his mother. I did not owe Dustin.
You owed somebody for half the motel room.
I realized that.
So my question is, why didn't you pay it to either Dustin or his mother?
I started to pay it to his mother.
You did.
She agreed that $100 a month would work, and I gave her
Oh,
$100
good.
cash.
Right.
And next thing I knew, I had a letter in the mail saying we're going to court.
Did he give you $100 in cash?
Yes, ma'am, he did give me $100 in cash.
Did you write 2 checks to Mrs. Mellinger
Yes, I did.
on an account that didn't have any money?
Yes, Your Honor.
Don't encourage him. When you have a debt in this world, you're supposed to repay it. You're not supposed to take money from strangers and then make them enemies by not paying them back. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
The quickest way to lose a friend is to loan the money. I want you to remember that forever.
Oh, well.
If you're a good guy and you lend somebody money, you lend a friend money, there's only one thing that I know for certain. You're going to lose that friend and you're going to be the bad guy. That's a lesson your mother should have learned a long time ago.
Your Honor, I've told Dustin that time and time again, but I am the guilty one here.
Well, you're the guilty one.
I
Because
didn't
here's
do
a
what I
young man
normally do.
who has a mother. If he needed money, he should have called his mother.
Right.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $400. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 341 on the calendar in the matter of Moore versus McDonald.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Ms. Moore, the defendant was a tenant of yours, according to your complaint, and it is your claim that when you told him to move, he refused to pay rent and then trashed the apartment before he left. You want him to pay for the damage. Mr. McDonald says that you made the place untenable. He couldn't live there. He was forced to move, and he caused no damage to your apartment, right? Was this a house or an apartment?
It was a house, Your Honor.
You were renting rooms in the house?
I was renting 1 bedroom to Chris.
Had you ever done that before?
Yes.
When did you rent the room to Mr. McDonald?
Mr. McDonald moved in on August 15th.
Did he sign a lease?
Yes.
How long was the lease?
It was not for a contractual period. It was a month-to-month agreement.
How did you find him?
I found him. I placed an ad online, which was maybe not the smartest decision in hindsight, but I was trying not to lose my house after my husband left.
What was the rent arrangement, Mr. McDonald?
$400 plus a third of the bills with a $100 security deposit.
So you moved in on August 15th. Did you pay rent for August?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he pay rent for August?
Yes, Your Honor.
What about September?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Your Honor.
When did you move out?
I moved out October 27th, I believe.
Did you pay her October?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because on September, I believe, 24th, I received a call from my godfather stating that he received a call from her. She went into my room and found a BB gun and was panicking about finding a BB gun in my room. I had my actual weapon with me. I have a 9mm in my truck at the time. So I knew it wasn't my 9mm.
Shh. Just a minute. You have a weapon.
Yes, ma'am.
Why do you need a gun?
Basically, it's a Second Amendment right. I'm allowed to own a weapon.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Do you have any special need for it?
No, for personal protection.
Okay. So she called you or whatever and said that you found the gun. She was uncomfortable. And so?
And then the next day, I received another call up at work. Apparently, she went into my room for some reason or another. I suspect basically snooping because she found the gun.
Don't tell me what you suspect. Just tell me what the call said and from whom you received it.
From her. She wanted to know why I'm hoarding mass weapons of destruction, was her exact words.
Okay.
Okay. And I told her, basically, I've owned the weapons since I moved in, and that I can discuss this with her when I'm not at work. And at that point, she informed me that, no, it's not up for discussion. I want you out sooner than 30 days. And I just said, okay.
Okay, so?
So I also let her know that I would not be paying rent due to the fact that I had to put deposits down on an apartment, you know, electrical deposits, you know, all that stuff.
Your Honor, he's lying.
Judge, I know you raised your hand, but I did not acknowledge you to speak.
I apologize.
Mr. McDonald, you have to pay October's rent. Unless your agreement required a 30-day notice, which she didn't give you.
The lease did require a 30-day notice.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Okay. Here's the lease agreement. It also says all roommates will respect others' belongings and privacy.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
I can read. I want to look at one thing.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, I may be missing it because I'm reading it quickly. Will you please point out the line where she has to give you 30 days notice? It says you have to give her 30 days notice. Point out the line where she has to give you 30 days notice.
I don't see it in here, Your Honor.
It's not in there, Mr. McDonald. That contract that you signed, and since pretty much you know the law because you know the Constitution, it doesn't say she has to give you 30 days notice.
By Texas state law, she's
Don't tell me
required.
Texas state law. You're not in Texas. So you have to pay her October's rent.
Okay.
It's not her problem that you had to put money down elsewhere. You know, that's the agreement that you signed. You could have put in there, listen, I have to give you 30 days notice. You've got to give me 30 days notice.
I didn't expect her to be psycho.
Then you wouldn't want to live with a psycho, right?
Oh, no.
Very good. So there are alternatives. Go live in a motel if you don't want to live with a psycho, but if you live in a house, you have to pay rent, right? Now, let's talk about the vandalism. Next, let me see pictures of the vandalism.
Yes, Your Honor.
You wanted him out because you felt uncomfortable because of the weapons, Miss Moore?
Yes.
What were you doing snooping around in his room?
I was not snooping. I was trying to prepare my house to get it on the market so that I could sell it.
Miss Moore, that's just fine, sweetheart, as long as you don't rent out parts of your house to somebody else. Then you can't prepare it by going into their room. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor. He was aware that I was going to paint, though.
Listen to me. You can paint. You can do whatever you want. You weren't going into his room to paint.
Yes, Your Honor, I was.
You had your paintbrush all ready to go?
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't believe you.
I did.
Listen. Listen.
I did.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I think you went in there and you're snooping around.
No, Your Honor, I did not.
Well, that's what happened. You found things in there because you went in there. Okay. So he's got guns and knives. That's what he likes.
Your Honor, those were never displayed until I gave him a notice to vacate, and then he was visually trying to intimidate me with those.
Well, why did you give him a notice to vacate before you saw the weapons?
I gave him
Just
notice
curious.
to vacate because he was leaving my house unlocked. He was a slob. It was clear that I wasn't going to be able to sell my house with him living in it.
Got it. Is this his room?
Yes.
Is this how he left it, or is this
That's
when
how
he was
lived
living
in it.
there?
That's when he was living there.
You get an F for neatness, Mr. McDonald. You get an A for Constitution and F for neatness. Where did you move from? From an apartment, sir?
I actually moved from my uncle's house out in Tonopah, Arizona.
Was he neat?
Mm-hmm.
Were you sloppy in his house, too?
No, ma'am.
Why were you so sloppy in her house?
Pretty much, I was working close to 16 hours a day with that, and when I got home, honestly, I was tired.
You rented to a slob.
I learned that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The sheriff had to tell her 12 times, where is the handgun?
And his handgun was never removed from the premises. I put it in the garage in the closet because I feared for my safety.
And later today,
For two people who do not have a legally binding contract like a marriage certificate to open up a joint bank account is the dumbest thing. Listen out there, youngsters.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. April Moore claims former tenant Christopher McDonald owes for rent, bills, and damage to her home. April says Christopher is obsessed with guns.
Okay. Now, there came a time, according to your complaint, Ms. Moore, that you felt uncomfortable, so you moved out of the house for a while. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
When did you move out?
It's hard to say, it wasn't official. I started staying
October
with
3rd.
my friend Angie here in the beginning of October, end of September. Nobody felt safe with me in the house with him. He's got a criminal record about 12 pages long.
Listen to me.
Yes.
Listen to me. You moved out the end of September, the beginning of October, until they moved out.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. You have an estimate for the cleanup of the house?
Yes. I also have bills for the utilities when I was not staying in the house because I feared for my safety.
I'm not interested in those.
Okay.
Give them back
First
to her.
packet. These are receipts for having the house rekeyed and recleaned and...
Do you have a security deposit?
Yes.
Okay, so that takes care of rekeying.
One time. It was rekeyed 3 times, Your Honor.
How many times did you rekey the house, Mr. McDonald?
I rekeyed the house once when I came home and had to call the sheriff due to the fact that I was locked out. And when the sheriffs told her that she needed to give me a key so I can lock the doors, she informed them no, she would not give me a key, and no, she would not return the handgun that she had stolen. The sheriff had to tell her 12 times, where is the handgun? And each time she told him, I'm not going to tell you.
And his handgun was never removed from the premises. I put it in the garage in a closet because I feared for my safety.
You have your handgun now, sir?
Not on me.
No, do you have it now?
Yes, ma'am.
I know you wouldn't get in here with it. All right, listen to me, madam. You pay to have the windows cleaned yourself. His problem is not having to re-clean and make your house spick and span. His problem is that he has to take care of the cleaning that's over and above normal wear and tear, and I'm going over these bills very carefully. Who are you living with now, by the way, sir?
I had to get a duplex with Corey, the other roommate.
Is he neat too, or is he a slob?
No, he's neat. But right now, if you walked into our house, it's beautiful.
Her place should have been beautiful too. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $819. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She might have been concerned about who she had rented her room to, but, you know, that's something she should have considered beforehand.
I don't want a criminal living under my roof with a 12-page-long criminal record, including assault on a family member.
I do have a criminal history, not 12 pages long, though.
I don't want that armed and dangerous and in my house with me.
I do have assault, you know, small stuff like that. No felonies, though.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Crockett versus Wilhelm.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of DeQuilla versus Roden. Step forward, please.
20-year-old retail manager John DeQuilla is suing his ex-fiancée, 20-year-old assistant office manager Dawn Roden, for the return of an engagement ring. Dawn says they were never engaged.
Mr. DeQuilla, you are suing for the return of an engagement ring that you claim that you gave to the defendant.
Yes.
Let me hear about it.
Well, Dawn and I were originally together back in September of '99, and we were together until September 17th of 2000. She had gotten married after that, and she was having marital problems around the time of March of 2002, and she came to me. We talked, we were friends for a while. We started seeing each other again March 24th of 2002, and around the time about April 1st, I had proposed to her, and she
was still married at the time?
Yeah, she was. She was going through a divorce.
She wasn't living with her husband?
No, she was not. She was separated. She was living with her grandparents in Lynbrook. I proposed to her. She had accepted. The next day, we had gone to look at rings. We were just going to look, and she eventually talked me into getting an engagement ring. And I purchased the engagement ring and gave it to her that day.
On April 1st?
Yes.
Go ahead.
We were together for about almost 2 months. I was making plans on moving in. I was helping clean up the basement, get everything set up so we can move together. She was going through her custody battle. And I'd say about the second week in May, we'd gotten into a fight. She did throw the ring into my face, and I gave it back to another friend of hers. They called me back about 10 minutes later. They picked me up. We went out. By the end of the night, everything was fine. She had the ring on her finger again, and everything was, you know, we were fine. Not too long afterwards, I'd gotten a text message saying, don't take this the wrong way. Don't call me. I'll call you. I need some time to think. I gave her about a day or so. I called her back. She said she wanted to see other people. I said, you know, I'll live with her decision. I just wanted my ring back then. And we made an agreement that on our next class, she was going to give me the ring back.
What kind of class?
It was for financial services that we were doing for our licenses.
You were taking this class together?
Yes. We were business partners at the time. And first time she said that she had forgotten the ring. So I said, just bring it to me on our next meeting. And the day that meeting came, she never came. I called her cell phone. Her friend Janine had picked up the phone, said that Dawn was not there. I got a call later back that night saying that the ring was stolen along with her friend's car.
Where did you get the call from?
Dawn. Dawn called me back later that night.
That the ring was stolen?
Yes.
How was it stolen?
The ring was never stolen, Your Honor. There was no ring. Me and my husband had gotten separated. Me and John did remain friends, and that was around March 16th was the day I had separated from my husband. On May 8th, it was a Wednesday night, me and my friend, we went to the meeting in Lindenhurst where he had another one of his friends with him.
What kind of meeting?
It was the meeting for the financial services. It was one of those meetings. We had went back to his house, and he had to drop his friends off at the mall, so we all met back at his house. He then told me that he was going to hang out with us, and then all of a sudden he was saying that he was tired, and I'm like, oh, okay, you're tired, you know, whatever, you know, go inside. And he was like, oh, okay. He's like, but first, before I go inside, I want to show you something. He took
And what date was this?
This was on May 8th.
Go ahead.
He then proceeded to take a box out and hand me a ring. I said, what is this? He's like, I want to marry you. And I said, how can I marry you when I'm not even divorced yet? I was still very upset that me and my husband were separated. And I then threw the ring at him right after I had made a 911 call because he would not get out of my car. And my friend and I both heard the ring fall off of his chest where it had landed and hit the ground.
That's because you were wearing it later that night, though. That's the odd part. Shh.
And after the fact of that, we eventually talked. I hadn't seen him with the ring the rest of the night. And we went to the karaoke bar Backstage, which is located in Woodmere, New York. He then pulled my friend Janine aside, and he had told her everything that happened and how he couldn't find the ring.
Do you have the sales slip for the ring?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please? So you say that he gave you this ring on May 8th.
Yes.
He says he gave you the ring on April 1st.
Yes, and we called
Just a second.
Okay.
Well, he certainly bought it on April 1st.
May I say one other thing?
Yes.
I have also, we did a financial needs analysis for the company that we do work for, and it is a custom thing to do it. You know, most engaged or married couples will do it, and we did it. It has both of our names on it, and the date of which this is done, and the ring is one of the debts. Her social security number is inside of it, and it's needed through her.
Did you fill out this report with him?
Yes, I did. We were going to become business partners.
I asked you whether you filled this out with him.
Yes.
Because it has your information on it.
Yes.
You know what date you filled it out?
I honestly do not.
May 1st. And you say that you threw a ring back at him that he gave you on May 8th.
Yes.
That you hadn't seen the ring before.
Yes.
Baloney! Madam, this lists the debt on the ring. Current debt, ring, $1,000, and the payment on the ring. You want to explain that to me, Miss Roden?
At the time that I filled it out, he only asked me my information. I was sitting in the other room with his mother and his aunt who was over at the time. The rest of the information he filled out by himself. I was not sitting at the table with him when he filled out that information.
So what? You say he gave you the ring on May 8th. He says he gave it to you on April 1st. So what you're suggesting is that he held on to the ring for 5.5 weeks before he gave it to you, right?
Yes.
And then you filled out this application together showing your income, showing your liabilities and everything else, and you knew nothing about the fact that he put in ring monthly bills.
Exactly.
Did you sign this thing? Did you sign it?
On the back of it, yes, I did. I did not.
Get out of here. I don't care whether you lost it, whether you stole it, you're full of baloney. He paid $1,149.55 for the ring. That's what you owe him. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Dawson, you are the head of a church group?
No, I'm not a head. I'm just one of the members of the church group.
And you?
I'm a member also. I'm his wife.
According to your complaint, your church group sold a van at auction at a charity event. Is that right?
Yes, we donated to...
You donated? Shh, put your hand down. Explain that to me. You had a van.
Right.
The van was the church's van, and it had a logo on it.
Yes, we retired it. Mm-hmm.
She bought the van at auction. Put your hand down, madam, and stop moving around. You're making me very seasick. Just be quiet and behave. So far, you're not losing, but don't irritate me. The money that was retrieved from this auction went back to the church?
Yes.
So you sold the van. She bought the van. Your lawsuit involves a request to have her remove and paint the logo so that nobody can see that it belonged to the church. Is that right?
Yes.
Why?
Reason being is that we have an outreach ministry that we do a work out in Los Angeles County, and our name is vividly seen in the neighborhoods, and that's the reason
And
why.
it was on the van.
Yes.
You have a picture of the van?
Yes, I do.
Let me take a look at the picture of the van with the logo on it.
This one.
While I'm looking at that, Mr. Dawson, who was in charge of making the arrangements to give the van out for auction?
The pastor of our ministry.
All right, now I see it. It's got your name all over it. Now I see it. How much did you pay for it?
I paid $800.
Good. And when you got it, it had these markings on it?
Yes, it did.
And you don't want the markings on it?
No.
Not in her possession?
No.
So why don't you take them off before you sold it?
Well,
What does that have to do with her? Where are you people coming from? Put your hand down a second. Where are you people coming from? You want to sell this, you turn it over to an auctioneer, they sell it, and now you're suing her. Stop, listen to me, Miss Wade, if you don't give me the attitude. I am totally unimpressed with your attitude, and it's irritating. You don't want to pass this along to somebody? You paint it over before you sell it. Do you understand?
yes, I understand, but they had made an agreement that they would be taken off before.
Who made the agreement?
The auctioneer, the person who would purchase the van, would take it off.
Who made the arrangement? You made the arrangement with her, or somebody made the arrangement with the auction house?
With the auction house.
Sue them. What are you suing her for?
Can I say something?
What?
The reason we're suing her is because our ministry is very popular throughout Southern California, Anaheim, even in San Diego. We do a very good work with children, gang prevention, youth.
Very nice. What? Keep going.
The reason I'm saying this is because they're going around in our van representing our ministry, cursing, screaming, yelling.
Miss Dawson.
Yes, ma'am.
They are not representing your ministry. She's driving around in a van that she bought, that your ministry failed to ensure did not have its logo on it because it turned it over to an auction house to sell it with the logo on it. And if you didn't want the logo on it, paint it before you sell it.
I understand that, ma'am.
Period. End of discussion. She's not holding herself out to be your ministry. She's driving around in a van she purchased. You want her to spend more than $800?
Yes, she is. She's representing our ministry. She said that she takes the youth around in our ministries. They like it on there. They don't want to take it off. We offered to take it off for them, to take it off professionally, and they said no. He likes it on there. He was belligerent. He cursed. He threatened my pastor's wife. He called the church.
That's it. He liked it.
Yeah, but it's
he liked it.
representing
It's
our
folk
ministry.
art.
It's representing our ministry. We get calls from all over the Southern California area, from Torrance to Los Angeles, complaining that how could our ministry do something like that, curse with children around. We don't do that. They're misrepresenting our ministry, and they won't take it off. Who would want to drive around with a Youth Action for Christ Jesus sign when they don't even represent Christ? We represent Christ.
Let me, madam, give you an example that maybe you will understand.
Yes, ma'am.
The Beatles used to tour this country on a bus.
Yes, ma'am.
And they had the word Beatles on the bus. Trademark. Now, let us say at the end of their tour, they decided that they had no further need for this bus, and they were going to sell it. And they put an ad in the paper. Take away the third party, the auction house. They put an ad in the paper. I see this ad and I say, gee, I would really like to have a Beatles bus. I'd like to have a bus that I knew the Beatles drove around in, and that had their name on it, that had their pictures on it. I want that. And I'm prepared to spend the money for it. So I answer the ad. They say the bus is $25,000. I say, sold. That's what I want. I want to take my kids touring, my kids and my grandchildren. I want to be stuck in a bus with my grandchildren. Right, touring the country in this Beatles bus. Paul McCartney says, you got to take, after I pay the $25,000, oh, you got to take our name off the bus.
I understand.
I said, no, so you want to sell this bus without your name on it, take it off. I bought it with the name on it.
I understand.
It's my bus.
Yes, ma'am.
She bought the whole package.
She sure did.
And if your minister made a mistake by not removing the logo before he turned it over for sale, That's his problem.
Can I clarify something? My husband failed to mention that my minister was responsible for letting us take the van. We were responsible for taking the names off. We failed, and we're trying to take care of it now. My ministry is not responsible for it.
You can't.
I called the police, and they said the only thing I could do is go to small claims court to petition to them to take it off. She met with my husband, and she was very nice about saying, okay.
What I'm telling you is, if she wants to, she can. If you want to give her money, maybe if you give her money, she'll say, fine, I'll take it off. Maybe $400 would make it feel better for me. Well, maybe, but you cannot require her. Because
we didn't require her. We asked her, and she was very nice. She was very humble, and she said, sure, to come take it off. We called her husband. He said, who do you think you are calling my house? You're not going to take anything. He cursed. He said, if you say another word, I'm going to hang up in your face.
I heard you, Miss Dawson. You're not listening to me.
I'm sorry.
You're not listening to me. If it was your responsibility, you didn't take care of your responsibility. You can't clean it up now. I'm telling you, you cannot require her to take off the logo from the bus because you don't like the language she uses or somebody uses when they're in the bus driving around. You cannot require her to do that.
It's not just the language.
I don't care what it is. I don't care if she was mooning people when she was driving around with your bus.
I understand
you
that.
cannot require her to do it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He pulled out the razor blade and was starting to proceed to take the lettering off my van. And I was like, wait a minute, hold up. You can't take this off my car right now.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Anthony Dawson and his wife Kimlin are suing Danye Wade for misrepresenting herself as part of their ministry. The Dawsons say Danye purchased a van from their church and refuses to remove the logo.
Now, you may pay her and say to her, listen, let's enter into an agreement, and perhaps I will, I'll give you money. You want some money to remove this from the bus?
Yes, if they want.
Just a minute. Let's. Okay. Here we go. How much money do you want?
I want 15 for it. 1,500 for it.
Well, you only paid 800.
Can I explain why?
No, just a minute. You only paid 800. So explain to me. Explain to me why you want 15. You know, you're gonna. Let me explain something. You're gonna get nothing.
Okay.
Because
okay,
what I'm trying to do is to make an arrangement that will satisfy everybody.
Okay.
It would have to be a voluntary arrangement. Do you understand? Not something that's loony.
Okay.
So, if you want some money so that they will paint it, give it a nice fresh coat of paint, that sounds reasonable to me.
Okay, but may I explain to you the reason why I want 15 for it?
Sure.
Okay, because first of all, when I bought the van was $800. I paid $400 to register the car. Didn't have a problem. When I bought the van, my intentions was to take the lettering off because I didn't want it. I wanted to paint it in one color. And I couldn't afford it. You know, I just didn't have the money to buy it. Okay, one day I was shopping at a store. I came out my store to this man right here, this minister, at my van, doing something to my van. Okay, when I got to my, you wasn't even there.
Shh.
Oh yes, she was.
Just a second. Put your hand down.
Little girl. Okay.
Listen to me.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Say okay.
Okay, so
I don't want you. Okay. I don't want you to talk to them. You talk to me. Okay. You understand? You came out of a store. What was he doing to your van?
At that time, I didn't know what he was doing because when I walked out the store, I could see him at the van, and as I got closer to the van, he was walking away, and then when I got to the van, me and my son, he walked towards me, and I asked him, what was he doing? And he was like, he identified himself, I'm the minister of this church, and I thought when they sold you the van, they took the lettering off of it. And I was like, no, they didn't. I bought this like this, but I have intentions on taking it off. And he asked me, he was like, well, can I take it off? I was like, sure. I gave him the number. I said, let's make arrangements. And he pulled out the razor blade and was like, you pulled out the, he pulled out the razor blade, and I can describe exactly what kind of razor blade. It was like a box cutter. He pulled out the razor blade and was starting to proceed to take the lettering off my van, and I was like, wait a minute, hold up. My baby looking in the car, he looking out the window. I'm like, you can't take this off my car right now. You cannot do this. We have to make arrangements. I just told you to call me. I jumped in my car. I put off. I went home. I told my neighbors and everything. I was like, you won't believe what just happened to me.
Now okay. I understand.
I'm sorry.
So, just a second.
I'm like, you won't believe what just... Okay.
Miss Wade, now you told me what happened. Now, you're moving around. You're making me very, very dizzy. Either one of two things are going to happen today. Either I'm just going to send you both packing because they have no case. You have no case on a counterclaim. If you are prepared to have them pay to repaint the van, how much are you prepared to accept so that they will be happy and, according to you, you will be happy? And don't tell me $1,500, because $1,500 is going to buy you the door.
Okay, can I say something now? He took letters off the van. It's letters off the van. His name is off the van.
Fine.
Half of his letters. I didn't tell him to do that.
Fine.
I told him let's make arrangements.
Fine. Listen to me very carefully, Miss Wade. Let me ask you this. Miss Wade, you're not following what I'm saying. I asked you for a figure. So, how much will it cost to paint the van?
Well, I went to Earl Shy and they said $600 to repaint
Good.
the car.
$600 to repaint it. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Dawson, are you prepared to spend $600 to correct your mistake? Is the question. The answer is either yes or no, you're not. You have no case. So she wants $600 so that she can, or you can, take it where they paint cars and have it painted.
We offered to have it removed professionally. We don't want to pay $600 to have it removed.
Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They sit there and act like he didn't pull out the razor blade.
We wouldn't even use a scraper. We were going to use a blow dryer on our property. It doesn't even work like that to remove it professionally.
We had someone who was going to take it off.
They sitting here acting, putting on this show, acting like they didn't do it and act like I'm just so innocent. No, you're not innocent, not at all. You are hypocrites.
This is West. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Miss Brewer, who is this young lady?
This is my daughter.
I'd like her to wait outside, please.
Okay.
If we need her, we'll call her in.
Come in.
Miss Brewer, there are certain things that are truisms all the time. And one of those is if you mess around with a married man, you're going to get burned. And I gather from your complaint that you've been doing that for a few years with this character. Is that right?
No, ma'am.
According to you, he's married. You've been having an on and off relationship with him for a while.
Not a relationship, no.
What kind of relationship have you had with him over the last few years?
He has been calling me over the past 3 years, approximately every 2 to 3 months, telling me that he doesn't want to be with her anymore, that he loves me, he wants to come back to me.
Miss Brewer, don't you understand what I'm saying to you? That's having a relationship with a married man.
Okay.
According to you, sometime in December of last year, you got one of those calls from him.
Yes.
And he wired you some money to come and get him.
Yes.
You got there. You found him with his wife.
Yes.
She kicked and dented your car. You were very upset. His wife told you that it was all a big joke, that he just had you come down there to make her mad. You got back in your car to go home, so almost a 400-mile ride. You were so upset you hit a deer, damaging your car. You want them to be responsible for her kicking your car and him to be responsible for getting you down there under false pretenses, which caused you to be in the car to begin with.
Yes, ma'am. Except she didn't kick my car. She hit it with her fist like this on the hood.
But dented it.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. West says that, no, he never told you to come and get him. And both of them say that you've been harassing them and interfering with their marriage, and they're counterclaiming. So far, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you get married, Mr. West?
July 21st, 2001.
And when did you have a relationship with Miss Brewer?
It ended in October of '99, and 6 years prior, we were together.
Okay, so you were together for a long time.
Yes, ma'am.
You have children together?
No.
Since 1999, have you ever called her?
Yes, ma'am.
For what?
Once was to tell her that I had put their stuff in storage that they left in Oklahoma.
And what year was that?
That was in '99.
Yes?
And a couple of more times I had called and talked to the kids to see how they was doing, which are all her kids.
Well, which children do you speak to?
I speak to the two girls, Stephanie and Kimmy.
Do you speak to their mother, too?
I have.
When was the last time you called her, sir?
In December of 2002.
On what date?
I do not remember.
Try the 13th.
Yes, ma'am. That sounds correct.
Had you had a fight with your wife that day?
The day before, ma'am.
On the 12th?
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me about the fight that you had with your wife on the 12th, sir.
We had an argument over I thought she was being too friendly with the store clerk.
So you were jealous?
Yes, ma'am.
Shh. Now, prior to the 12th of December, when was the time immediately preceding that you called Miss Brewer?
I'd say a year before.
So a whole year passed.
Yes.
So you have a fight with your wife on the 12th, and on the 13th, where were you staying?
I was over at my mother's house.
Had you slept at your mother's house?
No, ma'am.
Where did you sleep?
at me and my wife's house.
So you're at your mother's house, and you picked up the phone, and you called Miss Brewer.
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
To talk to the kids, to see how they were doing.
Don't make a fool of yourself, sir. And don't give me an opportunity to make a fool of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Why did you call Miss Brewer on the 13th?
I told you why.
That's a lie. You're making a fool of yourself. Because if you have a fight with your wife on the 12th and you haven't spoken to Miss Brewer or her children in 1 year, the coincidence that you just have this burning desire to speak to her 2 children the next day while at your mother's house, that's too coincidental to be true. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
So your wife, you thought, was being too cozy with a store clerk, and you were jealous, and that was the reason for the fight. So you figure, I'm going to make her good and jealous, and I'm going to call my old girlfriend, Miss Brewer. That sound more reasonable and more consistent with human experience, Mr. West?
It could be interpreted that way, yes, ma'am.
I knew we'd get around there, Mr. West. So you decided to have a little sport with your wife. And if it happened to hurt Miss Brewer in the bargain, so be it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He's the perpetrator, but you have an opportunity to say, don't call me anymore.
And I have, ma'am.
Well, I'm glad you have, because he sure doesn't look like the sharpest tap in the box.
And later today,
How much did you pay for him?
40.
You paid 40. You sold him to him for 175 apiece, right? Shh. Am I correct that this is a whole little scam?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tina Brewer says her ex-boyfriend's wife, Donna West, pounded the hood of her car in a fit of rage. Tina says she was so upset she ran over a deer.
Now, Miss Brewer, we're going to jog his memory of the conversation.
I can tell you every word.
Oh, I'm sure you can.
Yes, I can.
I want you to give me exactly what was said in this conversation. He said, "Hi, it's me." Something like that.
Something like that.
Now let's hear it.
When he called on the 13th, my mother lives with me now, and she answered the phone. I was at work. She called me at work, and she said he will call back at noon. So when I came home for lunch, sure enough, he called back, and he said, "I love you, I miss you, we never argued, we got along great, I believe we're made for each other." And he said, "I want to come be with you. I'm tired of this, I'm tired of Durant, I'm tired of all of it." So I said, "Well, are you sure?" Because he had been telling me this for 3 years.
I'm talking about the 13th of December.
On the 13th of December, he said that, and he said, "I will see what I can do. I'll see if I can get my sister to bring me or something." And I said, "Okay, fine." He said he would call back at 6 o'clock that night.
On the 13th?
On the 13th.
And did he call back at 6 o'clock on the 13th?
No, ma'am, he called at 7. He called at 7, and he said, "They're in Durant. They can't bring me. Could you come get me?" And I said, "Well, it's right before my payday, and I don't have any money." "Well, I can wire you the money." I said, "Okay." So the next morning, on the 14th, he called me approximately 9 or 9:30, and he says, "I'm going to wire you the money for you to come get me." And I do have this right here showing the $40 that he did wire me on that day. And he said, "That's okay."
Miss West,
said,
don't get mad at her, madam.
Oh,
Everything
no.
she's telling me is true.
I know it is.
Okay, every single thing. Good. Don't be upset with her.
Yeah, I'm not. It would be him, not her. Yeah, I know that.
Go ahead.
Okay. He said, "Don't worry about the trip home. I will be with you. I will keep you safe." I said, "Fine. Pick me up at my mother's house. I've got all my stuff packed. All I'm taking is my clothes and my guitar. I'll be over at my mother's house. Come pick me up over there." I said, "Okay."
So you got in the car, you picked up the money,
Yes,
you drove
ma'am.
400 miles, you get to the mother's house, and what do you find?
I pulled up, and there was a truck, I don't know what kind of Suburban, something like that, and he's standing beside the Suburban in the passenger side. Someone, I don't know who, is sitting in the driver's seat, and he turns around like this, and he looks at me, and he goes, "Okay?" I didn't know what that meant. I said, "What?" She jumps out of the truck and runs as fast as she can towards my car, up by the driver's side, takes her fist like this, hits the hood like this. I backed up. I got out of there. I'm not a violent person, never have been, never will be.
Did you make a dent on?
Yes, ma'am, she did. And I have a
Can I
picture.
see it, please? Donna?
This one up here by the
Donna,
windshield.
darling, don't fib.
I'm not fibbing.
It's the one up by the
I did
windshield,
not
ma'am.
touch her car.
Yes, you did.
No, I
Yes,
did not.
she did.
Sure you did.
No, I did not. I never got out of the truck.
Oh, that's some bad. Oh, this is from the deer.
Yes, ma'am. It's
that's
the
from the
top
deer.
on the hood up by the
I
windshield.
did not touch her car.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, then you turned around.
Then I backed up and I left. Laura.
And then you hit a deer on the way home.
I went to my son's house because he lives there in Durant, and I was very upset. I was shaking and everything, and I was thinking, what in the world? You know, she's there. She's not going to let him go because, well, I won't say. But anyway, I called my mother back in Texas, and I told her, that number that's on the caller ID, I think that's Byron's cell phone number. Will you give it to me? She said yes. I wrote it down. I called, she answered, and started cussing at me, something violently. I hung up. My son said, Mom, call her and talk to her. Tell her what he has been doing to you all this time, because my children have watched me suffer for 3 years through this.
Listen to me. You can only suffer if you allow yourself to be a victim.
Exactly, but I did.
You did. That's...
I admit that.
He's the perpetrator, but you have an opportunity to say, don't call me anymore.
And
I don't
I
want to
have.
hear you anymore.
And I have, ma'am.
Well, I'm glad you have, because he sure doesn't look like the sharpest tack in the box. I mean, I don't know what all you women are fighting over.
But anyway, when I called back, I told Donna everything. I said, you know, all this has happened. She told me, I'll try to use nice language. She told me if I would meet her someplace, she would kick my... I told her I was not violent like her. I didn't settle matters like that, and I wasn't going to meet her. She said that Byron told her it was all a big joke. He wanted her to be mad at him, I suppose, from the fight before.
I got you. I got you. You didn't understand why. I understand why, because she was very nice to the store clerk. That really made him angry.
Yes.
I don't even want you to say anything. You're going to tell me that you never put your hand on her car.
No, I didn't.
Good. Now I heard you. Now I heard you. That's nice. Now let's get to you. You have anything to say for yourself?
Yes.
Like what?
Well, the $40 that I did wire transfer her and that I did tell my wife about, she said that she was wanting to come to Oklahoma to visit her son and new grandbaby. And that she had enough money to get down here, but did not have enough to get back. And if I was going to go with her anyway, why would I mail her money to come down here and back on? And when she came down here, and I'd been telling her for years not to harass my family. I'd talked to her and talked to them, but she went to my mom after she had quadruple bypass and tried to find out where me and Donna live. She has left dirty
Listen to
notes.
me. She did all of that before December 13th?
Yes, ma'am.
Then what'd you call her for on December 13th,
I guess
sir?
I still had feelings about the kids.
Do I have to be? Do I have to be?
No, I'm just trying to get down these lyrics because this makes a great country western song.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
You did something wrong by buying black market tickets. She did something wrong by buying black market tickets. You screw a little bit, she screws a little bit, and then you come into court and say, please help me because I was screwed more than her.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tina Brewer says her ex-boyfriend's wife, Donna West, pounded the hood of her car in a fit of rage. Tina says she was so upset she ran over a deer.
Mr. West, do you have any children?
No, ma'am.
Don't. Mr. West, under ordinary circumstances, I would tell Miss Brewer that really she didn't have a claim against you for the most serious damage that was caused by the deer,
Yes, ma'am.
which she hit on the way going home, because your actions were too far removed from hitting this deer in the road. However, under the circumstances, I find that but for your actions in putting her in a position where she had to travel 800 miles round trip in a 24-hour period, 400 miles to you, based upon your lies, and 400 miles back, you could have anticipated that when she arrived there and found out that this was all your way of getting even with your wife for flirting with the store clerk, that it would have been a very stressful time for her.
Yes, ma'am.
And therefore, when she turned around to go home, she was agitated and stressed and had an accident with the car. And I find that your actions were the proximate cause of that near disaster with her car. You were an unkind, uncaring, selfish, self-centered fool who acted like a teenager when his wife was cozying up to somebody probably taller than you are, and you didn't like it. So you decided to make her a little jealous. And the only one that you had to make her jealous with was somebody that you knew you could get there in a heartbeat. Not only are you all the aforementioned things, but you're also a cruel person who's going to pay $1,900 to have a car fixed, and your counterclaim is dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. Step out.
He has strung me along for over 3 years.
I love my wife. She knows that.
Telling me how much he loved me, even calling my kids and telling them that he loved me.
She's trying to break me and my wife up so she can have another shot at me.
I'm done with him. I'm done with her. I'm done with them all.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Batiste versus Franquitos. Step forward, please.
Sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Ms. Johnson, you and Mr. Spain live together and have 2 children together.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are no longer a couple.
Yes, ma'am. No,
despite the fact that you both appear today as plaintiffs. My understanding of this rather complex case is that when you and Mr. Spain separated, Mr. Spain began a relationship with the defendant, Miss Bailey. And he, in fact, moved in with her. According to you, you tried to maintain a civil relationship with both of them, with Mr. Spain for the benefit of the children, and for Miss Bailey just because. But Miss Bailey was not happy with you for some reason, and it is your claim that she vandalized your car. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are suing her as a co-plaintiff with Mr. Spain, who says that Miss Bailey kept some of his personal property when he moved out of the house because they are no longer together. Miss Bailey says that she did nothing to your car. It's actually you who harassed her, you and Mr. Spain. That it was Mr. Spain who damaged your car.
Correct.
And that you slashed her tires, you caused her to lose her job, and she wants from you, Mr. Spain, rent for the time that you were living with her. She has a counterclaim. All right, let's try to put some dates to these facts. Mr. Spain, when did you and Miss Johnson live together?
About 2000 and...
Maybe I'll ask Miss Johnson.
We moved in, was about July 2003.
And how old are your children?
My son is 2 and my daughter is 4.
And when did Mr. Spain move out?
He moved out November 23rd, 2004.
Why?
Because of our differences. It wasn't working out.
When did you move in with Miss Bailey?
About the 26th.
Of what?
Of November.
You knew her from before?
Yes.
From where?
School.
How come you moved in with Miss Bailey?
Because she had asked me to move in with her.
I mean, did you rent a room from her, or were you living together as a couple?
Living together as a couple.
So that while you were with Miss Johnson, you were also with Miss Bailey?
No. She
I mean, it's a short 3 days, sir, you were in somebody else's house.
She had called me on the phone talking to her.
Yeah. When I came home from work, he was on the phone talking to her.
On the 23rd of November?
Yes, ma'am.
So then he moved out and he was living with Miss Bailey. How long did you stay with Miss Bailey, Mr. Spain?
About a month and a half.
Is that right, Miss Bailey?
He moved in November 23rd. He was arrested January the 4th, so that's the last time he lived with me when he got out of jail.
What were you arrested for?
Home invasion.
Burglary?
Nah.
What?
No,
he kicked in the door.
Kicked in her door.
Yeah, he kicked in my door.
You kicked in her door?
Where his kids lay at their heads at night.
Shh. What'd you kick in her door for?
Just jealous, and I was really upset what was going on when I was living with her.
Well, so you were annoyed with Miss Bailey, so you kicked in Miss Johnson's door?
Yes.
It's very logical. Getting too old for this job. All right, Miss Johnson, tell me about the vandalism of your car. When did that happen?
December the 16th.
And you were still living with Miss Bailey, is that right, Mr. Spain?
Yes.
In between the time that they were together, it's been harassing phone calls. I mean, he would call, he would get me upset, he would get me upset. just arguing over our relationship, whatever. Then she would call, and she would play on the phone, repeatedly call, left threatening messages on my voicemail, and I just got, I mean, of course I've defended myself in the argument too, but I guess she got real upset to the point where she wants to come over to my house, and she'd scratch the car.
Well, I want to know, were you home when she scratched the car?
Yeah, I was home, but I was asleep. It happened overnight.
So you didn't see her scratch the car?
No, I didn't see her scratch the car, but I do have a witness with me that...
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to hear that witness. Tell me your name, please.
Monica Dykes.
Dykes, did you see on December 16th somebody vandalized Miss Johnson's car?
No, I wasn't with her at the time, but I was at her house. I was spending the night at her house, and she was supposed to go get me something to eat. And
Who was?
Miss Bailey. She didn't come back with my food, and I asked her why, and she said because she came in the house with a box cutter, and she said that she had scratched Miss Johnson's car.
Well, how do you know Miss Bailey?
They were going together. This is my brother.
When she came home, she just took out the box cutter and told you? What did she do?
No, she had the box cutter in her hand.
Walked in the door with the box cutter in her hand?
It was in her pocket, and she took it out.
Well, tell me about that. I'm curious about that whole moment when she walked into the house with the box cutter in her pocket.
When she walked into the house, I was like, well, what happened to the Burger King that you're supposed to bring back? She said, well, Burger King was closed, and I just came back from around Mrs. Johnson's house, and I scratched the car up, and I hope she come around here with some... She's lying.
So what did you say to her?
Nothing. I didn't say anything after that.
She's lying. You didn't say, why would you do that?
Well, I asked her why. She said, because she's just been harassing me and all this other stuff.
Did she tell you what she'd been doing to harass you?
She said that Miss Johnson has been calling her house numerous of times.
So they were speed dialing each other.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Miss Bailey, now I'll hear from you.
Thank you so much. First of all, he moved in my home November 23rd of 2004. He moved out because he went to jail for kicking in her door. I was pregnant at the time with his kid. So when he got out of jail, I no longer want him in my home anymore. So while the process he's been in jail, me and Christina Stovall right here took all of his belongings.
I'm not at his claim yet, Miss Bailey.
Oh, okay. Well, where are we at?
I'm keying her car.
Oh, keying her car, and he keyed her car, and the night that he got arrested, he came over to my house bragging about keying her car in as well as kicking her door in. Why would I key her car? He kicked the key. I mean, he keyed the car in and kicked the door, and he know he did.
I was there.
If he's gonna kick her door in, he's gonna kick her car.
She's lying.
Whatever, you lying.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If somebody moves in with you in December and you get pregnant between December and January 4th, you're not too swift.
And later today...
Where is the car now?
The car is in front of my house now.
You have not sought to have the car returned to you, have you?
No.
Smart lady.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kimberly Johnson and Arthur Spain Jr. claim Arthur's ex-girlfriend, Tequila Bailey, keyed Kimberly's Pontiac Grand Am. Arthur also says Tequila won't return his belongings.
You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see. Step up. Tell me your name.
Christina Stovall.
You said that you were present when Mr. Spain acknowledged that he vandalized Miss Johnson's car?
Yes.
When was that?
January 4th.
Tell me about what he said.
Me and Tequila and her two sisters were in the living room. He came in through the door. He was sweating, walking around. You could tell he had did something. This is what he said. He said, I keyed in her car, I kicked in her door, and the police is coming. So Tequila said, let's go upstairs and talk about it.
Yeah, but the police report...
He did it
He did it what?
He did it at 2 different times. When he keyed in her car a couple days before he kicked in her door. But he came in bragging about both of it.
Yeah.
No. No.
Yeah. He keyed her car. I don't know when he keyed the car in, but the night he got arrested...
Listen to me very carefully. Where did you spend Christmas?
At my house.
Did you see Miss Bailey?
I see her every day. All the
and
time.
what about Mr. Spain? Did you see him?
Yeah, I see him.
Shut
I used to go to school with him. I used to go to the candy store. He knows who I am.
Okay. So you know them both, and you saw them between December 16th and January 4th. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what you're telling me is on January 4th, he acknowledged keying her car.
Because he came in all nervous.
Ah, but the police report is from December 16th. Why in the world would he come in all nervous and hyper and confess to something that he had done on December 16th?
He already confessed to me a long time ago about it.
Because he was scared.
He was bragging.
Sit down. Okay. Good. Very good. No, I believe that he kicked in her door, but on December 16th, I believe her when she says that you went out to get her some Burger King and you came back and you keyed her car.
Nah.
Yeah, no. Nah. Okay, now, what stuff do you claim that you left at Miss Bailey's home?
Radio, TVs, CDs, DVDs, weights.
Where's all his stuff?
We took 2 trips to her mom and his mom's house, and he knows and she knows. As a matter of fact, I had Matt come get the guns that was in my house. They don't have any permits for.
What kind of guns?
Sawed-offs.
BB guns.
Sawed-offs.
Who is this gentleman?
That's my friend.
What does he have to do with this case?
His weights are in her house.
He helped haul
her
belongings
stuff
over to her house.
And we hauled it right back. And I don't know what your father did with them, but we hauled it right back.
A few baskets over to his house. This is when he was locked up.
TV returned?
No. And she brought me my shoes, and she brought my shoes, a box full of my shoes, and my remote control was in the box.
What kind of television did he bring to your house? Look at me directly. Don't look at the floor.
I'm looking at you. I don't know exactly what kind of television it was. It was a little black box television.
Where is it?
His mom's house. Me and her took 2 trips to Hallville, Indiana, to give him their stuff. But he got locked up from my house. I got a letter in my mail from my landlord saying that if they find him or anything of his in my house again, I will be in court for eviction because he was not on my lease. So I quickly took all his stuff to his mother's house. All his stuff. He knows it.
She is lying.
Now, Miss Bailey, what I want you to do is I want you to tell me about your counterclaim. You think that Mr. Spain should pay you for rent?
Yes.
What kind of contract did you have with him for your
We
rent?
didn't have anything written down, signed, because when you're supposed to be having a relationship, you don't do that. But we have verbal. You're going to pay half on everything. You're not going to stay in my house and lay up and sleep, and not pay nothing on anything.
Miss Bailey.
Yes, ma'am.
We live in a civilized society. So I want you to leave your gutter language outside.
I can do that. That's fine.
And you're going to wait until I'm finished speaking before you open your mouth.
Okay.
You're going to leave your gutter language outside, and you're going to remember where you are. We understand each other?
We do.
Perfect.
Kimberly Johnson and Arthur Spain Jr. claim Arthur's ex-girlfriend, Tequila Bailey, keyed Kimberly's Pontiac Grand Am. Arthur also says Tequila won't return his belongings.
I believe that after he moved out, he wanted money, but I don't believe you had an agreement with him to pay you half of everything.
Next. Somebody can't stay with me.
Listen to me. Next.
First of all, my tires were slashed. I couldn't get to work. I had to call in to get my car fixed. Second of all, they're playing my phone. He's coming to my job, my new job and my old job, harassing on me on my job.
Well, just a second. What did he say when he came to your job?
I broke up with him. He wants to be with me. He loves me. He wants to be a family. Let's make it work. I don't want to be with you. I want to be a family. Go raise your 2 kids with Kimberly.
Just a second. I don't understand you.
What do you mean?
You're talking too fast.
I talk fast all the time. I know. He wants to be with me.
So he came to you telling you that he wanted to be with you and he wanted to be a family.
Making a scene. Yeah, making a scene at work. He wanted to be with me.
And that's why you got fired.
That, and I had to call in because I was pregnant with his child, and he was in jail. I couldn't work. I was sick.
I mean, you think that he's responsible for you?
Yeah, he helped me make the baby. Yeah.
What?
He helped make the baby. Yeah, he's responsible.
That's not a lawsuit.
It is mine.
It's not one that I'm going to hear.
That's fine, Miss Judge Judy.
It's not one that I'm going to hear. How many children do you have?
I have 1.
Okay. So you know how babies are made, right?
I do.
If you don't want to have the baby, then what you do is you take precautions so that you don't have a baby. If somebody moves in with you in December and you get pregnant between December and January 4th, you're not too swift.
Right.
Can I see pictures of your car?
Yes. Yeah, Your Honor, she scratched the whole driver's side, and she also...
Can I just see the pictures of the car?
My boyfriend.
Okay, did you have these scratches taken care of?
No, ma'am.
You have an estimate on how much it's going to cost?
Yes,
to have
ma'am,
the
I do.
Scratches taken care of? That's a reasonable estimate. Listen, there is no question in my mind that the two of you women behaved badly towards each other, right?
Right.
I think Mr. Spain behaved badly, too. Listen, Miss Bailey, don't get in between people. It's always a very bad idea. If someone has a fight with his wife, woman, girlfriend, whatever it is, and if you take him in the day that he had a fight, and then if you make a baby with him, that makes you a smart woman who's not acting too smart, or a stupid woman who's not acting too smart. I don't know which one you are.
I was stupid.
But whoever you are, you owe her $600 to have a car painted. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. Your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I ain't even mad, though. That's the whole thing. I ain't even mad. I'm cool. I'm cool.
She's a liar. She's crazy. She needs some mental health.
I don't need anything from any one of them. And I'm still making, I'm still strong, sitting on my own 2 feet.
That's the devil right there.
Thing is, I got fists. Come on, bring it. Bring it, because I'm ready. Straight up, I'm ready.
The girl's crazy. And you seen it in there. She crazy.
Or was he running IBM? I'm not sure which one you told me. Right? That person is a loser. Now, you made an agreement which would keep you from having a record, and that was that you were going to pay for her windows. That's what you do. And if you believe that she was responsible for burglarizing your apartment and for vandalizing your apartment, you call and you make a police report. And if they find her prints there, then they will arrest her. But you don't take it upon yourself to say, listen, I think she's the one who broke into my apartment.
I know she took everything that she wanted.
Pay attention.
She has no proof she busted out the windows either.
Get out. Get out. This is not a dance party.
I'm sorry.
Get out. Out.
I was a witness to it.
Did you hear what I said to you? Out.
Did you want me to leave?
Yes. What does out mean?
I'm sorry about that.
Just out. Out is out. Bottom line, you make an agreement with the criminal justice system. You abide by that decision. And if you feel as if she's breached the decision, you don't resort to self-help and say, I don't have to keep my end of the bargain.
This is what the mediators told me. They said...
Listen to me.
Okay, I'm listening.
Tell me what the mediators told you. These are the same mediators who didn't send you a list of places to go to do your community service. Everybody's screwing up except you. Yep. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $520. That's
Hello,
all.
I have a claim.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Ms. Johnson, you and Mr. Spain live together and have 2 children together.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are no longer a couple.
Yes, ma'am. No,
despite the fact that you both appear today as plaintiffs. My understanding of this rather complex case is that when you and Mr. Spain separated, Mr. Spain began a relationship with the defendant, Miss Bailey. And he, in fact, moved in with her. According to you, you tried to maintain a civil relationship with both of them, with Mr. Spain for the benefit of the children, and for Miss Bailey just because. But Miss Bailey was not happy with you for some reason, and it is your claim that she vandalized your car. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are suing her as a co-plaintiff with Mr. Spain, who says that Miss Bailey kept some of his personal property when he moved out of the house because they are no longer together. Miss Bailey says that she did nothing to your car. It's actually you who harassed her, you and Mr. Spain. That it was Mr. Spain who damaged your car.
Correct.
And that you slashed her tires, you caused her to lose her job, and she wants from you, Mr. Spain, rent for the time that you were living with her. She has a counterclaim. All right, let's try to put some dates to these facts. Mr. Spain, when did you and Miss Johnson live together?
About 2000 and...
Maybe I'll ask Miss Johnson.
2.
We moved in, was about July 2003.
And how old are your children?
My son is 2 and my daughter is 4.
And when did Mr. Spain move out?
He moved out November 23rd, 2004.
Why?
Because of our differences. It wasn't working out.
When did you move in with Miss Bailey?
About the 26th.
Of what?
Of November.
You knew her from before?
Yes.
From where?
School.
How come you moved in with Miss Bailey?
Because she had asked me to move in with her.
No. I mean, did you rent a room from her, or were you living together as a couple?
Living together as a couple.
So that while you were with Miss Johnson, you were also with Miss Bailey?
No. She
I mean, it's a short 3 days, sir. You were in somebody else's house.
She had called me on the phone talking to her.
Yeah. When I came home from work, he was on the phone talking to her.
On the 23rd of November?
Yes, ma'am.
So then he moved out and he was living with Miss Bailey. How long did you stay with Miss Bailey, Mr. Spain?
About a month and a half.
Is that right, Miss Bailey?
He moved in November 23rd. He was arrested January the 4th, so that's the last time he lived with me when he got out of jail.
What were you arrested for?
Home invasion.
Burglary?
Nah.
What?
No, he kicked in the door.
Kicked in her door.
Yeah, he kicked in my door.
You kicked in her door?
Where his kids lay their heads at night.
Shh. What you kicking her door for?
Just jealous, and I was really upset what was going on when I was living with her.
Well, so you were annoyed with Miss Bailey, so you kicked in Miss Johnson's door?
Yes.
It's very logical. Getting too old for this job. All right, Miss Johnson, tell me about the vandalism of your car. When did that happen?
December the 16th.
And you were still living with Miss Bailey, is that right, Mr. Spain?
Yes.
In between the time that they were together, it's been harassing phone calls. I mean, he would call, he would get me upset, he would get me upset, just arguing over our relationship, whatever. Then she would call, and she would play on the phone, repeatedly call, left threatening messages on my voicemail, and I just got, of course I've defended myself in the argument too, but I guess she got real upset to the point where she wants to come over to my house, and she'd scratch the car.
Well, I want to know, were you home when she scratched the car?
Yeah, I was home, but I was asleep. It happened overnight.
So you didn't see her scratch the car?
No, I didn't see her scratch the car, but I do have a witness with me that...
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to hear that witness. Tell me your name, please.
Monica Dykes.
Dykes, did you see on December 16th somebody vandalized Miss Johnson's car?
No, I wasn't with her at the time, but I was at her house. I was spending the night at her house, and she was supposed to go get me something to eat. And
Who was?
Mrs. Bailey. She didn't come back with my food, and I asked her why, and she said because she came in the house with a box cutter, and she said that she had scratched Miss Johnson's car.
Well, how do you know Miss Bailey?
They were going together. This is my brother.
When she came home, she just took out the box cutter and told you? What did she do?
No, she had the box cutter in her hand.
Walked in the door with the box cutter in her hand?
It was in her pocket, and she took it out.
Well, tell me about that. I'm curious about that whole moment when she walked into the house with the box cutter in her pocket.
When she walked into the house, I was like, well, what happened to the Burger King that you're supposed to bring back? She said, well, Burger King was closed, and I just came back from around Mrs. Johnson's house, and I scratched the car up, and I hope she come around here with some... She's lying.
So what did you say to her?
Nothing. I didn't say anything after that.
She's lying. You didn't say, why would you do that?
Well, I asked her why. She said, because she's just been harassing me and all this other stuff.
Did she tell you what she'd been doing to harass you?
She said that Miss Johnson has been calling her house numerous of times.
So they were speed dialing each other.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Miss Bailey, now I'll hear from you.
Thank you so much. First of all, he moved in my home November 23rd of 2004. He got moved out because he went to jail for kicking in her door. I was pregnant at the time with his kid. So when he got out of jail, I no longer wanted him in my home anymore. So while the process he's been in jail, me and Christina Stovall right here took all of his belongings.
I'm not at his claim yet, Miss Bailey.
Oh, okay, well, where are we at?
I'm keying her car.
Oh, keying her car, and he keyed her car, and the night that he got arrested, he came over to my house bragging about keying her car in as well as kicking her door in. Why would I key her car? He kicked the key. He keyed the car in and kicked the door, and he know he did. I was there. If he's gonna kick her door in, he's gonna key her car.
She's lying.
Whatever, you lying.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If somebody moves in with you in December and you get pregnant between December and January 4th, you're not too swift.
And later today...
Where is the car now?
The car is in front of my house now.
You have not sought to have the car returned to you, have you?
No.
Smart lady.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kimberly Johnson and Arthur Spain Jr. claim Arthur's ex-girlfriend, Tequila Bailey, keyed Kimberly's Pontiac Grand Am. Arthur also says Tequila won't return his belongings.
Do you have a police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see. Step up. Tell me your name.
Christina Stovall.
You said that you were present when Mr. Spain acknowledged that he vandalized Miss Johnson's car?
Yes.
When was that?
January 4th.
Tell me about what he said.
Me and Tequila and her two sisters were in the living room. He came in through the door. He was sweating, walking around. You could tell he had did something. This is what he said. He said, I keyed in her car, I kicked in her door, and the police is coming. So Tequila said, let's go upstairs and talk about it.
Yeah, but the police report...
He did it at
He did it what?
He did it at 2 different times. When he keyed in her car a couple days before he kicked in her door. But he came in bragging about both of it.
Yeah.
No. No.
Yeah. He keyed her car. I don't know what he keyed the car in, but the night he got arrested...
Listen to me very carefully. Where did you spend Christmas?
At my house.
Did you see Miss Bailey?
I see her every day, all the
And
time.
what about Mr. Spain? Did you see him?
Yeah, I see him.
Shut.
I used to go to with him. I used to go to his candy store. He knows who I am.
Okay. So you know them both, and you saw them between December 16th and January 4th. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what you're telling me is on January 4th, he acknowledged keying her car.
Because he came in all nervous.
Ah, but the police report is from December 16th. Why in the world would he come in all nervous and hyper and confess to something that he had done on December 16th?
He already confessed to me a long time ago about it.
Because he was scared.
He was bragging.
Sit down. Okay. Good. Very good. No, I believe that he kicked in her door, but on December 16th, I believe her when she says that you went out to get her some Burger King and you came back and you keyed her car.
Nah.
Yeah, no. Nah. Okay, now, what stuff do you claim that you left at Miss Bailey's home?
Radio, TVs, CDs, DVDs, weights.
Where's all his stuff?
We took 2 trips to her mom and his mom's house, and he knows and she knows. As a matter of fact, I had Matt come get the guns that was in my house. They don't have any permits for.
What kind of guns?
Sawed-offs.
BB guns.
Sawed-offs.
Who is this gentleman?
That's my friend.
What does he have to do with this case?
His weights are in her house.
He helped haul
her
belongings over to her house.
And we hauled it right back. And I don't know if your father did with him, but we hauled it right back.
A few baskets over to his house. This is when he was locked up.
TV returned?
No. And she brought me my shoes, and she brought my shoes, a box full of my shoes, and my mocha control was in the box.
What kind of television did he bring to your house? Look at me directly. Don't look at the floor.
I'm looking at you. I don't know exactly what kind of television it was. With little black box television.
Where is it?
His mama's house. Me and her took 2 trips to Hallville, Indiana, to give them their stuff. But he got locked up from my house. I got a letter in my mail from my landlord saying that if they find him or anything of his in my house again, I will be in court for eviction because he was not on my lease. So I quickly took all his stuff to his mother's house. All his stuff. He knows it.
She is lying.
Now, Miss Bailey, what I want you to do is I want you to tell me about your counterclaim. You think that Mr. Spain should pay you for rent?
Yes.
What kind of contract did you have with him for you?
We didn't have anything written down, signed, because when you're supposedly having a relationship, you don't do that. But we have verbal. You're going to pay half on everything. You're not going to stay in my house and lay up and sleep, and not pay nothing on anything.
Miss Bailey.
Yes, ma'am.
We live in a civilized society. So I want you to leave your gutter language outside.
I can do that. That's fine.
And you're going to wait until I'm finished speaking before you open your mouth.
Okay.
You're going to leave your gutter language outside, and you're going to remember where you are. We understand each other?
We do.
Perfect.
Kimberly Johnson and Arthur Spain Jr. claim Arthur's ex-girlfriend, Tequila Bailey, keyed Kimberly's Pontiac Grand Am. Arthur also says Tequila won't return his belongings.
I believe that after he moved out, you wanted money, but I don't believe you had an agreement with him to pay you half of everything.
Next. Somebody can't stay with me.
Listen to me. Next.
First of all, my tires were slashed. I couldn't get to work. I had to call in to get my car fixed. Second of all, they're playing my phone. He's coming to my job, my new job and my old job, harassing on me on my job.
Well, just a second. What did he say when he came to your job?
I broke up with him. He wants to be with me. He loves me. He wants to be a family. Let's make it work. I don't want to be with you. I want to be family. Go raise your 2 kids with Kimberly.
Just a second. I don't understand you.
What do you mean?
You're talking too fast.
I talk fast all the time. I know. He wants to be with me.
So he came to you telling you that he wanted to be with you, he wanted to be a family.
Making a scene. Yeah, making a scene at work. He wanted to be with me.
And that's why you got fired.
That, and I had to call in because I was pregnant with his child, and he was in jail. I couldn't work. I was sick.
I mean, you think that he's responsible for you?
Yeah, he helped me make the baby. Yeah.
What?
He helped make the baby. Yeah, he's responsible.
That's not a lawsuit.
It is mine.
It's not one that I'm going to hear.
That's fine, Miss Judge Judy.
It's not one that I'm going to hear. How many children do you have?
I have one.
Okay, so you know how babies are made, right?
I do.
If you don't want to have the baby, then what you do is you take precautions so that you don't have a baby. If somebody moves in with you in December and you get pregnant between December and January 4th, you're not too swift.
Right.
Can I see pictures of your car?
Yes. Yeah, Your Honor, she scratched the whole driver's side, and she also...
Can I just see the pictures of the car?
My voice.
Okay, did you have these scratches taken care of?
No, ma'am.
You have an estimate on how much it's going to cost?
Yes,
to have
ma'am,
the
I do.
Scratches taken care of? That's a reasonable estimate. Listen, there is no question in my mind that the two of you women behaved badly towards each other, right?
Right.
I think Mr. Spain behaved badly, too. Listen, Miss Bailey, don't get in between people. It's always a very bad idea. If someone has a fight with his wife, woman, girlfriend, whatever it is, and if you take him in the day that he had a fight, and then if you make a baby with him, that makes you a smart woman who's not acting too smart, or a stupid woman who's not acting too smart. I don't know which one you are.
I was stupid.
But whoever you are, you owe her $600 to have a car painted. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. Your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I ain't even mad, though. That's the whole thing. I ain't even mad. I'm cool. I'm cool.
She's a liar. She's crazy. She needs some mental health.
I don't need anything from any one of them. And I'm still strong, sitting on my own 2 feet.
That's the devil right there.
Thing is, I got this. Come on, bring it, because I'm ready. Straight up, I'm ready.
The girl's crazy, and you seen it in there. She crazy.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Ford versus Tarrant. Step forward, please.
Barber Glenn Ford is suing his former lover, office technician Elizabeth Tarrant, for the balance on a 1988 Toyota Celica he bought for her daughter.
Mr. Ford, it is your claim that Miss Tarrant, with whom you were briefly involved, owes you money for a car that you purchased for her daughter and for impound fees later when the car was impounded because her daughter didn't have a driver's license. Ms. Tarrant indicates that both of those things were gifts and you did not seek any money until after she decided she no longer wanted to be involved in a committed relationship with you. Is that what this case is about?
Yes.
Fine. Where is the car now?
The car is in front of my house now.
You have not sought to have the car returned to you, have you?
No.
Smart lady. Mr. Ford, can you explain to me why this is a relatively new purchase? According to your complaint, the car was purchased for her daughter sometime in February, correct?
In March.
So it was driven by her for a relatively short period of time. Why don't you just sell it?
The reason why I don't want to sell it, because I'm really not in this business of selling car. I had purchased the car for Elizabeth because she needed a car for her daughter. And it was an understanding, a mutual understanding between us two, and a contract that we had, which she didn't sign.
Well, then I'm not interested in it, sir. My question to you is a very practical one. This is a relationship that clearly was not going anywhere. The only nexus tie that you had to each other was this car. You got the car back, and I understand that you're not in the car business, but I don't know what your losses are.
Well, the car was impound, and she had agreed to pay me for the impound fees. I had to get the car out of impound, and the only way that I was able to get the car out of impound was that her daughter had to have a driver's license, so they could release the car to me from out of impound. I took her daughter to get a driver's license, and she had a driver's license, and I went to pick up the car from the impound. I incurred losses there. Now, she agreed that she would pay for these losses that I had incurred.
You mean for the impound fees?
For the impound, yes.
That's not unreasonable. What do you do for a living, Mr. Ford?
I'm a barber.
Is it your own business?
Yes, it is.
Then you're a businessman, Mr. Ford, and you appear to be an intelligent person. Right? You may not know a lot about cars. I don't know a lot about cars either. But I know that if I had a piece of property in my possession, in this case a car, and I had the title to it, which you do at this point because she signed it over to you, before I would bring her to court, I would put an ad in the paper, a sign in the window, and I would say I'm going to sell this car and see what I get for it. And then you won't be out any money unless you just wanted to bust her chops. So, Mr. Ford, before you come to court, go sell the car and see if you come up with a shortfall on the money you laid out. Do we understand each other?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step up. Quintana versus V. Hill. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Quintana, the defendant assaulted you,
Yes, ma'am.
and you were injured.
Yes.
This happened in a mall,
Yes.
and he assaulted you by punching you in the face.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of injuries did you sustain?
I lost my front tooth and hit to the head, so I had to go to the emergency room.
And you don't deny that you hit him?
No, ma'am, I do not.
And you didn't know him before?
No, ma'am, that was the first time I've ever seen him before.
So why don't you tell me why you hit him?
Well, it all started, my girlfriend told me that he had been dropping by and trying to get her phone number and get a date with her.
This is your girlfriend?
Yes, this is my girlfriend, Monique.
Step up here. You work in the mall?
I did.
And when, for the first time, did you see the plaintiff?
On October 4th, I believe.
He came into where you were working?
Yeah.
He came up to you and you had a conversation with him?
He asked me for my phone number, and I told him that I had a boyfriend.
When did you see him again?
The next day.
And tell me what happened.
He would go from Mervyn's to in front of Walgreens and stand there and watch me.
Like he had a crush on you?
Yeah.
So?
So he kept coming around and around. And
did he ever speak to you?
No, but he would have his friends speak to me.
Friends would come up and speak to you about him?
Yeah, ask me for my phone number for him.
What would they say?
My friend really likes you. He was wondering if he could have your phone number.
And you said no?
Yeah.
And how many times did his friends come up and ask for your phone number?
About 3 or 4.
And then what happened?
And he kept coming around and around. And I was having my mom come and meet me, and...
Well, he never came up to you, did he?
No.
Never said anything else to you, did he?
No, he was just watching me.
He was just standing around?
Yeah.
And you told your boyfriend about it?
Yes.
And then there came a time when you called your boyfriend, according to what I've read here, and said, he's here again.
Yes.
And what day was that?
October 15th.
And how many times had you seen him in total those 10 days?
Probably about 8, because I was off Sunday and he didn't come one day.
Now, so you call your boyfriend, you say he's here again. Boyfriend arrives, right?
Yes.
So what did you do when you arrived?
Well, I went over there. She pointed him out to me. I went up to him to tell him to leave her alone. He confronted me.
No. You went up to him.
Yes, she pointed him out to me. He was coming the opposite way from which I approached him.
So you went up to him and then you were face to face?
Yes, we had a confrontation.
Well, so far he doesn't even know who you are, so you can't have a confrontation. So you walk up to him and what did you say?
I had asked him...
no, tell me what exactly you said.
To leave my girlfriend alone and to quit stalking her.
And what did he say?
There was a verbal exchange of profanities.
No, just tell me what he said to you.
There were some profanities said.
That's all right, I've heard everything.
Okay. I'm not stalking your girlfriend.
Okay, so that's what he said to you.
Yeah.
And then what did you say to him?
I told him that he better leave her alone.
Okay. And what did he say to you?
Nothing. That's when I thought he was going to hit me, so I hit him.
You thought he was going to hit you?
Yeah, he came towards me. I felt threatened. He came to me like he was going to hit me.
But he didn't hit you?
No, I hit him first.
Right. Now, what happened after he hit you?
Well, first, I never seen his face at all. He never talked to me. He never confronted me. So when he first hit me, he hit me in the back of my head. And then that's when I started to turn around and he punched me in the face. And that's when I guess I got my tooth knocked out. And he grabbed me by my hair and tried to hit me with his knee on my face. And he pushed me back down to the floor. And then when I got up, he had already left the mall. And I was asking who was it, and nobody knew who it was.
How did you find out who it was?
I found out who he was later on that night at the hospital.
Tell me about that.
Okay, my grandma took me to the hospital because my tooth had been knocked out, like it was all the way out. So I went into the emergency room and we sat down and we were sitting right in front of him, and I still didn't know who he was at the time. But my grandma was just joking around and she says, well, he's got his hand wrapped up, was that him? And I said, I don't know, I never seen who even hit me. And he got up and started telling me, well, you and I'm gonna kick you again. And
does that sound familiar to you, about being in the emergency room?
Oh, yes, ma'am, it does.
All right. Does it sound familiar to you that the two of you were in the emergency room together?
Yes, it does.
And when you got to the emergency room, was he there already?
No, I had to arrive first.
So you're sitting there,
Yes.
and he walked in,
Yes.
and he sat down.
Yes.
He didn't say anything to you at first.
No.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Right. So it wasn't as if he recognized you right away.
I would
Right?
say he did recognize
I don't
me.
care what you say, what you think. He came down, he sat down in the emergency room. He didn't get up and say, that's the person who hit me.
No, he did not.
No. Let me see your medical bills.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She can attest that I did not jump him from the back.
Whether you jumped him from the back or whether you jumped him from the front, it doesn't make any difference, sir. You punched him and you punched him first. I needed to know who you were from a hole in the wall.
And later today,
We were excellent friends. We were best friends. We did everything together. She meant a lot to me. I wanted to mend that friendship.
Because of your actions, your wife is upset.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Keith Quintana says Jacob Vigil knocked out his tooth when he assaulted him. Jacob admits he hit Keith, but says he was stalking his girlfriend.
What was the success of trying to put your tooth back in the socket?
Well, since it was knocked out so soon, they said if they try to re-put it, it might just grow back, the root might just connect right away. And that's what they were hoping would happen. But there was an abscess, and they said, well, if it goes away, then everything will be all right, but it never went away.
So did they have to remove the tooth?
It's got to be removed, yes.
Ms. Bellegarde, if you were afraid of the plaintiff, why didn't you, instead of calling your boyfriend, why didn't you call the police?
I thought he would leave.
That doesn't make sense, madam. You say that for 8 days you've been concerned because he was hanging around where you were working, right? And if you thought he would leave, what did you call your boyfriend for?
Because I wanted my boyfriend to tell him to leave me alone.
Well, I'm asking you, why didn't you call the police?
I didn't think about it.
Well, your boyfriend certainly did tell him to leave you alone. But he told him to leave you alone in a way that caused him serious physical injury.
Your Honor, she can attest that I did not jump him from the back.
Whether you jumped him from the back or whether you jumped him from the front, it doesn't make any difference, sir. You punched him and you punched him first. And you punched him first because you were angry. I needed to know who you were from a hole in the wall. And I'm not asking her to attest for anything because she didn't use her brains. Somebody is stalking you. If you believe that they're stalking you, then what you do is you call the police. You don't call your boyfriend to come and have a talk with him. That's not what you do. Because what happens is exactly what happened here. You assaulted him. You filed, I assume, criminal charges against him.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, what happened with that criminal case?
There still hasn't been set yet.
Is there a criminal case
No,
pending?
we had it. They dismissed it with no prejudices.
They dismissed it?
Yes, we went to court previously, and it was dismissed.
Why?
Without prejudice, because it was a pre-trial, and no conclusion came to the end. It didn't come to a conclusion.
Step up, please. Go ahead. You're his mother.
I'm his grandmother.
A young grandmother.
Thank you. Anyway, we did go to municipal court because of the charges, and they had already agreed that he would have to pay the medical bills, and then they came up with a conclusion that they were going to dismiss him without prejudice because my husband is the one that filed the original complaint, and even though we've raised him since he was little, we've never adopted him, so we're not his legal guardians. So him and his dad filed, and then Jacob filed a motion to dismiss because Keith's dad signed the complaint, and he wasn't a plaintiff because by this time Keith was already over 18.
They have any relatives that work in the police department?
I have no
Do you?
idea.
No, Mom,
Do
I
you?
do not.
No.
You have any relatives that work in a district attorney's office?
No, I do not.
I never heard of such a lot of mumbo-jumbo in my life. The police are the complainants. The state is the complainant.
Well, his public defender also suggested to him, after the judge had told him that he had to pay, that maybe he should file bankruptcy.
It wasn't a public defender. My dad had hired a private attorney for it.
Oh, good. So your dad has money to hire a private lawyer for you?
No, but my dad's willing to help me out.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Sir, right here. No.
How many times you need to tell a guy no before he actually gets it through his head, you know?
There's all kinds of girls in Santa Fe, and I wouldn't stay stuck on just one if she tells me no, you know?
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Kreiner, you and the defendant had a sort of on and off relationship for several years, according to your complaint. And during that time, recently, he called you and asked you for a loan to fix his car.
Yes.
And how much money did you give him?
$1,200.
And the two of you have a child together?
Yes.
How old is your child?
3.
So you acknowledge that she gave you the $1,200 to fix the car. Your defense is, as well as a counterclaim, that there is a set-off. You do agree you owe her some money, that $1,200, but claim that she caused damage to your car, she agreed to pay for. So since we have no issue with regard to the $1,200, let me hear about your counterclaim, sir.
Well, Your Honor, in June of '99, Eugenia came over to my house, and my girlfriend was there at the time. And she got real upset, and she went outside and ripped the windshield wiper off the rear of my vehicle.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Shh, just a second.
And she
What was
went
she
over-
doing at your house?
My son was there, and
So she came to pick up your
she was
son?
coming over there, yeah, to get him. And she had been somewhere with my sister, and she was asking me about who was I going to be with, her or my girlfriend, and I told her I was with my girlfriend. So she proceeded to walk over to my car, and she ripped the windshield wiper off,
Not true.
and she damaged
You
it.
keep saying not true, and I keep telling you I'm going to give you a chance, madam.
Okay.
Now, what happened when she ripped the windshield wiper off your car?
She grabbed me again by the collar of my shirt and was yelling at me, why am I doing this to her, and that type of thing. And my sister said, well, I'm going to call the police so it doesn't go any further.
So were the police called?
They were called, but by the time my sister had already put her in the car and took her off, so I left and went to work.
Okay, so this was the back windshield wiper, did you
The
say?
rear windshield wiper of my vehicle.
What
I
kind
have
of
a,
vehicle do you have?
93 Chevy Astro. I have an estimate as far as the parts and what the labor would cost for that. And I also have a photograph.
Now, did you, I'll see it.
Okay.
Did you ever discuss that with the plaintiff?
Yes, I
fixing
did.
it? When?
After it had happened, I told her that she owed me for the damages she caused to my vehicle. And she initially said that, yeah, I know I owe you, and I'll pay you back. Then what happened initially, my car broke down, and I was really in a pinch, and I needed to get to work. So I had to go to her and ask. I mean, we've been back and forth and different things, but I figured the fact that she owed me that $800, she could at least see for it to help me get it fixed. And then I do things for her all the time as far as taking her places and things because she's without a vehicle. So I figured.
Well, let me go back a little bit. You say that this happened in June of '99. So she was really angry with you in June of '99.
Yeah.
Well, between June of '99, when she ripped the windshield wiper off your car, and August of '99, when you called for the loan, had you made up?
I guess we had started speaking again.
We was engaged, Your Honor.
No, we weren't.
Okay, whatever. Okay.
But no, during that time, I ended up, she still needed rides to different places and that type of thing. I guess you could say we had somewhat made peace. And then she had also told me that she was going to pay for the vehicle. So I was kind of stupid again, thinking that, okay, she's going to change and she's not going to do those type of things to me anymore.
What you do to me? What you do to me?
Shh. Ms. Kreiner, you went over to pick up your son at his house.
Yes.
And he was there with another young lady.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to tell me what happened on that date.
Me and his sister Stephanie, we went out shopping that day, and I came back to pick up my son. And he was there with another young lady, and I asked who was it, and he was saying, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. And it led from there. I mean, we was arguing. It was like physical, you know, but as damaging his van, I did not.
Physical by who?
We're not going to get into that, but we have been physical.
So it got physical?
Yes.
Because you were angry?
Yes.
And what you're telling me is you didn't damage the van?
No, I did not.
Mm-hmm. Was your sister a witness?
Yes, she was.
Where's your sister today?
My sister had to work today.
What's your sister's telephone number?
323-777.
And what is her name?
Stephanie.
Let's see. Is this Stephanie? Stephanie, this is Judge Judy Sheindlin. Miss Kreiner is here along with your brother, Mr. Scott, with regard to an incident that occurred back in June of 1999, and I understand that you were present. You were out shopping with Miss Kreiner. You came back to your brother's house. Their little boy was there, and then there was an altercation with Miss Kreiner and your brother. Do you remember that? Yeah, okay, I thought you might. Can you tell me what, if anything, you observed with regard to the windshield wiper on the back of your brother's car? And you saw that? Okay. You are very, very kind. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye. Yes, you did.
Oh, I did.
Yes, you did.
That's not true.
Oh, sure it is. She, and not only that, but she was a peacemaker. She was the one who said to you, let's just get in the car and I'll take you home. She did.
No.
You did get into the car and she did take you home, did she not?
Yes, she did.
Was your son with you?
Yes, he was.
And you did put your hands on him because that's what you said you did. You grabbed him by the collar. You grabbed him by the collar and you pushed him.
That's not true.
Oh, sure it is.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I never had any problem with paying her.
Well, this happened in August. She lent you the money in August, right?
And later today,
You braid one section, you have the other section not braided?
Yeah.
Doesn't that look silly?
Yes.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Eugenia Kreiner says ex-boyfriend Eric Scott owes her for a loan to fix his car. Eric says Eugenia owes him for tearing off his windshield wiper in a jealous rage.
The only problem that you have, Mr. Scott, is your counterclaim was for $800. According to the bill that you gave me, the cost of replacing this system that she pulled out was $408.01.
Initially, when I got the first estimate, they had done one that included the labor charges and that involved in that. But what had happened, it's been a while, and she was saying she was going to pay me. I figured I'd give her time to get that money back.
Whatever. It's not $800. It's only $400.
That's just for the parts alone, Your Honor.
Don't you have a separate bill for labor?
When I went to go get the one for the labor, he wrote that on there, and that's why he gave me his business card.
Well, even that is only $540. So where do you get $800 from?
Because the initial one that I initially
was
got
more. Okay,
was
so $540. So even if I give you credit for that, she lent you $1,200. You still owe her $660, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you got to pay her.
No, I didn't. I never had any problem with paying her.
No, well, this happened in August. She lent you the money in August.
No, my issue was when I told her I was going to deduct what she owed me to get my vehicle fixed, and I told her I'd give her that. She said no, she wanted it all.
Go ahead.
He told me that he was going to pay me in a timely manner, okay? In September of '99, on my son's birthday, a week before my son's birthday, I said, can I have my money? He said, no, because I got to pay for Jerome's party. Christmas time, I got to help Jerome with some stuff for Christmas. So New Year's, okay, when I get my tax return, it's always off and on, off and on.
Are you telling me you never had a discussion with him where he said to you, you know, you broke the windshield wiper? No, I'm not asking you whether you did it or not. I'm asking you whether you ever had a discussion with him where he said that he wanted to deduct what was due and owing to fix his windshield.
No.
You never had a discussion with him? He never said to you, I'm
No.
going to pay you, but I'm going to deduct the amount of the
No.
windshield?
No.
Your Honor, I told her that on several occasions.
Okay. I find that she is responsible to fix the windshield. I believe that it happened. You do, however, owe her some money, sir.
Yes, Your
You owe her $660. Pay her.
Please excuse me. Step out.
I did owe her the balance of the money, but the only thing was I just didn't feel that I should have to pay her all the money when she did owe me for damaging my vehicle.
It was a total lie. I did not do that. I mean, of course his sister go stand up for him.
And now the next case.
All parties on Hill versus Curlette. Step forward, please.
17-year-old student Ashley Hill is suing her hairdresser, 28-year-old microbraid technician Lysandra Curlette, for services not rendered and an assault.
Ms. Hill, the defendant was your hairdresser. You were going to your senior prom. You paid her in advance to braid your hair.
Yes, ma'am.
Your lawsuit says she not only failed to complete the job of braiding your hair, but she also, when you went there that last time, she assaulted you. As a result, you missed the prom.
Yes.
How long does this braiding process take?
It usually take about a couple weeks.
A couple of weeks? How many hours altogether?
30.
30 hours. You mean you have to sit in a chair for 30 hours to have your hair done?
Yes.
Just explain for my own information. What do you do, different sections at each time?
Yes.
Well, what happens to one section? You braid one section, you have the other section not braided?
Yes.
Doesn't that look silly?
Yes. Sometimes, if it's not finished.
And how much did you pay her?
$300.
All right, so now tell me what happened on the 6th of May.
I went to her house about 9 o'clock in the morning.
You had an appointment?
Yes. And she was working on other people up until about 2 o'clock. And I asked her if she...
So what do? You just sat there from 9 to 2?
Yes.
So at about 2 o'clock, what happened?
I asked her if she wanted me to come back later, and she got an attitude with me and told me to go sit down. So I went and sat down, and I was talking to another client, and I was telling her I don't see how she got mad at me because I asked her if she wanted me to come back. Another client, I believe her witness, she went back and told her something. I have no idea what she told her. And then she was yelling and screaming at me. Then she was like, well, I think you need to leave. So I said, okay, well, I'm about to leave. As I was approaching the door, she jumped in front of the door and was pushing me into the wall and grabbing on me and all that. And I was like, well, I want to leave. And she was like, no, you ain't going nowhere. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to stay in here and let you put your hands on me. She finally moved out the way and let me leave. And on the way out, she said, thanks for my $300 and don't come back.
Well, were you injured in any way?
No, I just had scratches and bruises on my arm.
Well, that's injury. So now tell me why you didn't go to the prom.
Because my hair wasn't done and my dress was sleeveless and I had scratches and stuff all on me.
Nah.
I mean, but you can see my hair is, I couldn't go to the prom with my hair
Well, you had
looking
between
like this.
May 6th and May 21st to find somebody else to finish up the job. Why didn't you do that?
Because don't nobody braid hair exactly the same way she does and it wouldn't have looked right. That's like having one person do half of your head and another person do the other half of your head.
Did you try?
I don't know nobody else that braid hair.
Did you look in the phone book?
And plus I would have had to pay somebody else to braid the other half or all my hair. And that would have been another couple $100.
So the answer is you didn't try?
No.
What'd you do with the dress?
It's hanging up in my closet.
That sounds very foolish to me.
And what else was I supposed to do with it?
You're supposed to get somebody else to finish your hair, do it yourself, take out the braids, do something, and go to the prom, because you only have one prom to go to.
I know.
That's what you do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You took your 3-year-old toddler to get your hair done for a whole weekend. Didn't take your child out to the park, didn't take him out to a zoo. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Well, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ashley Hill says she wasn't able to go to her prom because micro-braid technician Lysandra Curlette refused to finish her braids. Ashley is also suing for an assault.
All right, Miss Curlette, tell me your version of the events of the 6th of May.
Well, Your Honor, she came in that morning, about 8:30, 9 o'clock that morning, okay? I had been up for like 2 or 3 days because this process takes a long time. Everyone is issued out one of these, okay? And it specifically states about the patients in here on each page.
Okay, can I see it, please?
They know to call in, to check in, to make sure that they have time
All right,
for
did
me.
she call you on May 6th?
No, she did not. It was set up the day before when I, in return, picked her up from school and her son from daycare. So if I had no intentions on finishing, why would I go to those extremes?
Well, that's an interesting question.
Right.
So you were really more than just her hairdresser.
Right, exactly.
Did she, on the 5th, you have a child?
Yes.
How old is your child?
3.
How old are you?
17.
The day before this happened, did she work on your hair?
Yes, but that's not the day
No,
that
no,
she came and picked me up from school.
Was there a day that she took you home, picked your child up from daycare, drove you home?
Yes, many a time she's taken me home because I'd be over there to about 3 o'clock in the morning.
That's only by choice, because you can leave at any time you like, and you can come back. She laid around on the furniture, slept, ate. You weren't just sitting there. She had a ball, Your Honor.
Well, I assume.
Because I'm not a boring person. I try to keep everybody entertained because I know it takes a long time.
So tell me what happened on the 6th.
Okay, when she came in that morning, I told her, just give me a second. I had another person drop a child off to me that's about 2 or 3 years old. It only takes about an hour or two to do the child's hair. So I'm, of course, going to put the child first, ahead of everybody, because you don't want a toddler going crazy on you while you're sitting there trying to make them be still. So just go in there and sit down, and I'll be with you in a hot second. I'll be there in a minute. Okay. She goes in there and sits down. That's when she starts bad-mouthing me to another client that
To
she
this
does not
client?
know. Yes, ma'am. She was in there.
Step up.
This is not the particular
No, not
client
to
that she was
me.
talking to.
But I was there.
And you heard what was going on inside? Well, step up, please. Tell me your name.
Crystal Blaine.
Could you tell me what you heard the plaintiff say on that date?
She was in the living room and she was telling another girl she was taken all day and that it is times when she's over there all night long and that she never gets touched.
Okay. Somebody came and told you what the plaintiff was saying about you.
Exactly.
And what did you do?
I started talking to her, and I was like, Ashley, I can't believe that you're sitting out here saying these things about me as much as I've done for you. All of a sudden, she tried to leave, start crying, screaming, I didn't say, just going ecstatic. And we tried to restrain her from leaving. That's
Why?
about all. Because she didn't have a ride. She's 17 years old.
What did you do to restrain her?
Nothing, just held her back from the door. Exactly.
And then what happened?
And then she got ecstatic, crying. We opened the door, let her go. I said, thank you very much, because you know there is no refund.
After she left on that date, did you receive a phone call from her?
No, ma'am, I
or
did
a
not.
communication from her in an attempt to set up another appointment?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Ms. Hill, did you in fact call her?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
I didn't want to go back over her house after she put her hands on me. That's why I just want my money back, that's all.
Okay. Takes about how many visits to get your hair done?
It's up to her. Sometimes I stayed over there like April the 14th. I stayed over there the whole weekend.
And the whole weekend she worked on your hair?
No. That weekend, she didn't work on me at all.
So what'd you do over there a whole weekend?
Just sit and wait.
Well, come on. Who watched your baby?
That weekend, he was there.
Miss Hill, are you telling me you took your 3-year-old toddler to somebody's house to get your hair done for a whole weekend, didn't take your child out to the park, didn't take him out to a zoo? You sat because you wanted to get your hair braided? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Well, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Okay. A, you did not make an attempt to go back to have her finish the hairdo, which you could have done. And then you could have sat there for another 5, 6, 7 days, because if that's your order of priorities, you probably would have done that. But in any event, she is not allowed to, under the law, put her hands on you. I do find that you did suffer visible scratches on your arms, no serious injuries. That was not a basis for you not to go to the prom, to let your dress hang in a closet. I mean, if you wanted to go to the prom, you certainly could have. But Miss Curlette has to know that she can't put her hands on you. And you should, Miss Curlette, not work when you're stressed.
Can I tell you why I got upset?
Yes.
Because me and Ashley were better than that. Ashley knows that I put my heart into whatever I do for her and her son.
I believe that that's true. So you were hurt. In addition, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $400. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step. Ashbarger versus Hubbard.
ऐसे भी रैंडम पंचिंग मत किया कर। बारह ओए रुक जा देवी होना बस तो ना इस गड्डी जो है इस गड्डी ओए बैठ बैठ, इसका एक टास्क करवाना है। ओ सॉरी सॉरी। जे भी बैठ ना।